I saw this earlier over on Patriots.win. And I just saw it, and I just thought to myself, there's like deep meaning in this photo. For those, let me maybe I can make it larger. I'm not sure. There you go. On the left, you have January 6th. On the right, you have Democrats in Congress waving Ukrainian flags. And I just thought to myself, what a terrifying image. Now, I will stress, the riots on January 6th, bad, wrong, and those who did riot should go to jail. I think the appropriate amount of time in jail for rioting and attacking cops should, I don't know, like 2 to 6 months, depending on the severity of the attack. If you were hitting cops or whatever, yeah, it's like 6 months. Maybe some people might get probation because you don't go to jail in your first offense. What did they do? 20 years. Then you had a lot of people who marched through a building they came in the other side of the building where they had no idea what was going on. There were no barricades. The doors were open, and they were just like walking in, taking selfies with cops. And those people are getting a year, sometimes more, in jail for misdemeanors. That's crazy. But I'll stress this. January 6th, the riots, the Capitol, should not have happened. But I will at least say the people are all carrying American flags. There's a Gadsden flag and Trump flags. The Trump flags, I question a little bit. I'm like, that's a flag for a guy. But at the very least, a flag for a president. On the right, I see members of Congress waving the flags of a foreign nation on our House floor, and I'm just disgusted. And I'm just like, man.
I feel like we're the ones who got invaded.
Yeah.
You got these flags everywhere. Everyone else's flag is being flown everywhere. You almost never see American flags anymore.
I look at January 6th and I think to myself, some people liked it, I don't know. I think it was a bad day. And I think it was bad for this country that it happened. I think it shouldn't have happened. But I see American flags. So I understand that while these people are wrong and we're doing wrong, they care about America. They like America. Mm-hmm. And then they committed crimes. Okay, you go to jail for that. Okay, I don't care if you
and
like
most
whatever.
of the vast majority of people there did not commit a crime, right?
Right.
Most
The
of those
riots
people
were bad.
waving flags. Yeah, most of the people there waving flags didn't commit any crime, didn't do anything wrong.
The riots are bad.
Yeah, exactly. The violent activity is bad.
The bumbling, confused people are being unfairly targeted. But I look at the members of Congress waving Ukrainian flags, and I see something much more sinister.
Well, I have an idea. I think we should rename East Palestine. Palestine. and then maybe
finally they'll get some
Ohio
help.
will finally get some funding. And maybe if we rename Hawaii Ukraine, then all of those residents in Maui that are homeless now because of the fires, maybe we'd actually have some funding for our people instead of the whole rest of the globe.
Let's call Texas Israel. We got a border wall.
This is actually, yes.
That's so true. Great point.
It's actually a funny idea. Maybe Thomas Massey could do this. He announces a funding bill for Palestine, and he says, I think we'll all agree an aid package for Palestine would be a good thing. So please, would you sign my bill? But it's actually East Palestine.
Senator, please do it. If you're watching this right now, please do it. Because the Democrats, they're so good about naming bills. Oh, the Affordable Care Act. They would put something forth called like the Save Puppies and Kittens Act, but then it's going to have a poison pill in it to make the whole thing terrible. And then they'll say, oh, Hannah, you voted against the puppies and kittens. That's what the Democrats do.
We need to call for a ceasefire in Chicago.
We do, they do, actually. That's like there's like an activist group called Chicago Ceasefire.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, because there's so much gang violence.
Is it working?
It's not.
Did they do it?
There's a funny meme where it's someone said, it's like Democrat offers up the free pancakes and waffles for everyone bill, and everyone's like, wow, that sounds fantastic. And then one guy's like, yeah, no, I'm not voting for. Or they all vote for it, and then it says like, yay, all in favor. And then the one person goes, when do we get our free waffles? And the Democrat goes, what do you mean? This ban's owning dogs.
No, I think that's
true. The Patriot Act.
And to be fair, I feel like you have to acknowledge that they have really nailed marketing. I think the Democrats do a great job of being like, here's Bill. And partially because they dominate the media, they're able to be like, talk about it this way. Here's the cool name. This is the nickname we're giving it. Okay, everyone in agreement. Here we go. And it's all false information, or it's skimming over what's really going on. And that's why I think the American people become so cynical. I do think that there is a group within the Republican Party that's in Congress right now that are sort of becoming engaged with this. They're starting to see how to market better. But generally, I think the fakeness of how our policies are presented to us, both by our elected officials and by the media, is really driving voters into the arms of Republicans. I don't know if you feel a similar way.
Let me play this clip real quick for you guys, because we were just talking about it.
Some say, well, we have to deal with our border first. The Ukrainian-Russian border is our border.
This is like when they
Somebody-
say our democracy.
Yeah,
it's like,
this
what
is-
does it mean?
No,
ours.
somebody
this
get
is
this guy
okay.
a map. Like, does he not understand where our borders are?
I
This
feel
is-
like
this
he
is-
couldn't
okay,
point
let-
out
let-
Ukraine if
with
there
context-
was you and a picture of a crane on a map.
I know
That's
everyone's
how I
very mad.
feel about him. Sorry.
This is Rep. Gerald Connolly of Virginia on the floor on C-SPAN saying that the Ukrainian-Russian border is our border. I'm just... I
I
have
knew
no
the
words.
American education system was bad, right? We've got lots of people who can't read, but this guy can't do geography, and he has been out of school for a long time. This is sad.
I mean, the man is saying the quiet part loud, right? America clearly has some interest in Ukraine. There's some information that they don't want us to have. We know about the phone call with Victoria Nuland and the call. It's like, here's the thing. Ukraine is either owned by Russia or it's owned by the United States at the end of the day. And they're well aware of that. They want a puppet government there. Now, that's not me saying what Russia is doing is good by any means. I'm not saying that Putin is justified. But what I am saying is his statement that Ukraine's border is our border, we should believe him when he says that, right?
Yeah. It's true, though.
He believes the United States owns Ukraine, that is our asset. That's
Yep.
how he sees it.
And it's true.
Yeah.
We are at war with Russia. Only silly people would claim otherwise. We have personnel there. NATO has personnel there. And they go, oh, but they're not fighting. They're just providing the logistics and the training, and then we provide the weapons, and then we tell the Ukrainians what to do.
We send money, resources, and power there, but because we're not actually there, we're pretending otherwise.
Well, I
Again,
know if
we're
I know-
just
hold on.
lying to you.
It is Americans fighting in the war. It's just, they're private.
Yeah, it's not the same thing
So
at all.
it's our weapons, our training, our tactics, our intelligence. We have our military strategists, NATO forces, and then the Americans that are fighting there have just gone there on their
we
I will
didn't,
just
we
say-
didn't
on their own
send them
accord.
there. We just pay them to be there. So it's fine.
Well, our private
yeah.
companies pay them to be there, and then we pay those private companies.
Exactly.
I will just say this. If history has taught us anything, it's that when Russia is fighting Ukraine and we fund Ukraine, we will end up fighting Ukraine at some point.
Yes, that's
That's
indeed.
always what happens.
This is what people were saying about the Azov battalions.
Yes.
we are going to fund.
Majid Nawaz made a great point
Yep.
about that. Yeah.
It's going to be 20 years from now, and then we're going to be talking about some great terror event where Azov did something, and then some 20-year-old's going to be like, "Why are we dealing with this?" And then some 40-year-old's going to be like, "We funded Azov, right?" And they're going to go, "What?" I remember when I was young, and people were like, "Well, Al Qaeda is just an offshoot from the Mujahideen," and it's like, "Really?" And they're like, "And we funded that." It's like, wow.
Why did
Well,
we do that?
let's really put a pretty bow on this and take it full scale that we would not be having this conversation about Ukraine right now had Donald Trump won 2020. Putin did not invade Ukraine under President Trump. You did not have Hamas genocide Israel under President Trump. You did not have Iran drone Israel under President Trump. A lot of these problems could have been solved had people, I wouldn't want to finish my thought real quick, had we actually won the 2020 election or there not been shenanigans, whatever you want to call it. And so we need to make that known that anybody who is considering Joe Biden, just know we didn't have this previously 4 years ago.
The Taliban as well. Donald Trump sets a timeline and is negotiating how we pull out of Afghanistan.
Yep.
Joe Biden takes it over and burns the whole thing to the ground.
Destroys it.
Absolutely. And killing our men in the process
Yeah.
as well. But one note that I really wanted to take home as well is I'm glad that COVID opened so many people's eyes that we cannot trust our government. And that people have this mentality now where some people are critically thinking. Some people are questioning, going, wow, maybe I shouldn't believe everything that I read or see on TV. And I'll tell you, I've been meeting a lot of felons recently. Don't ask me. Don't
You got a
ask me
pen pal
why.
program?
Is that like
I
an app for that?
love
Is-
felons. They're attracted, and I go to gun shows all the time. I was in the Philly Expo Center right in Phoenixville, north of Philly, and I had this definite felon come over, this formerly incarcerated person who I love. He had love, hate, tattooed on his hands, and he's like, I am inspired, I am convicted, ironically enough, for the first time to register to vote. And I was like, I'd be so happy to register you. And as I'm registering him, I'm like, look, Pennsylvania is the closed primary state. You have to be registered with a party. And he's like, what's Donald Donald Trump's party. And I was like, he's a Republican. And he's like, well, I'm a Republican.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I love that people are waking up. And this message is really to anybody that has suffered at the hands of the injustice system, and that you're seeing this two-tiered level of our government, that they won't go after Hunter Biden. They won't go after members of Congress that are using stock trading to their advantage, which is illegal in our country. Yet they'll go after Donald Trump, but they wouldn't be going after him had he not been president, had he not tried to go against everything that they've been creating these institutions for. That if you want to peacefully just, well, I'm not even going to say that, but if you want to stop this weaponization and this two-tiered system, then you register to vote and you vote for Donald Trump on Tuesday, November 5th, 2024.
Do you think we're going to win?
I am more confident today than I was a year ago.
Why? What's your data?
Well, I'm seeing the voter registration data. Arizona, oh my gosh, Arizona, despite everything that the Democrats see, the Democrats, they know that perception is reality. And that's something that I deal with every day in politics, that it doesn't matter how true something it is. It matters how people feel about it. It matters what people see. And that's why the work that you're doing, Tim, and these kinds of shows are so important, because we are lifting that veil. We are showing people what they haven't known the truth. They've only seen the contrived truth, the calculated truth, the orchestrated. And so Arizona trending to the right. Nevada's only 30,000 voters away from flipping to Republican. Wow. Pennsylvania, 2 years ago, there were 595,000 more registered Ds than ours in the state. Now it's below 400,000, but that's active plus inactive. If you only have active registered voters, that number is really under 250,000. And for the first time in history, because that data came out today for Pennsylvania, because the primary is tomorrow. So you at home, if you live in the great Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, which is going to be my new home, you get out and you vote tomorrow, Tuesday, the 23rd, in the primary. I don't care if Donald Trump is going to be our nominee. You vote in that election.
Thanks for watching this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. Hang out with us live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. and become a member over at timcast.com for uncensored, members-only shows exclusive. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all next time.